and welcome to an Under Eagle Mountain Making podcast. Hello, my name's Laura and I'm a maker living in the northwest of England. I knit and I sew and I naturally dye, both fabric and wool. I try lots of other things as well, sort of jack of all trades, master of none, I suppose. In this podcast, I'm going to be sharing some of those makes, so it won't exclusively be knitting. I know there's lots of knitting podcasts out there, but there will be lots of knitting, but also lots of other things as well. It's one of those odd things, isn't it? People might ask, why are you essentially just talking to yourself about what you're doing? And it's something that I've been thinking about for a while. I really enjoy watching other people's podcasts, mostly knitting podcasts, and I find myself like wanting to have a conversation with those people. I kind of want to be involved in it, and I kind of talk to the screen. I really hope I'm not the only person that does that. And obviously you can like message people on YouTube or on Instagram, and I've got to know a few people over Instagram, so we kind of message backwards and forwards or even send posts backwards and forwards. But I found myself just really wanting to be part of this community, and I just thought, well, why not? Give it a go, be brave. So that's what I'm going to do. I guess in proper podcasting traditions, I should start with finished objects. I've made quite a lot of things this year already. I've knitted 4 things, I think. Like a jumper and a vest and like a vest cardigan, like sleeveless cardigan, and a penguin. The pattern's called a Pinglewind. I knitted that for my youngest son's birthday. I've also sewn quite a few things. I think I've made 3 dresses. So yeah, I've done quite a lot. I've done quite a lot of natural dyeing as well, mostly on wool so far this year. So I'm not going to show all of it. I'll just show a few things this time, and maybe next time I might show a few more things and we'll kind of catch up. Excuse me. Okay, so the first thing is this dress. I kind of made up the pattern. It's a bit of a story. I saw on Instagram, I had an advert popped up for a company called Meadows, which is not a clothing company that I'd heard of beforehand. But in this photo, there's a young woman and she's wearing a sort of tan or sort of mustard and cream gingham dress, and it's kind of got a button placket and slightly puffy sleeves. That's important to remember in a minute. And over the top she's got like a knitted cabled sleeveless vest, and I just thought it was such a beautiful outfit that I just thought, right, and I need this. But I wasn't going to buy it. I knew I could make it, so that's what I was going to do. At the same time, I'd decided that I wanted to have a go at Birgitta Helmersson's Zero Waist Gathered Dress. I've got her book and I've made quite a few things out of her book, and they're great, but that particular pattern isn't in the book. And I thought, do I want to buy another pattern? Like, I've got loads of dress patterns. Like, I don't think I can justify it. And I also thought, do you know what? It's not that tricky. I can probably do this myself. Thought, right, come on. So I did. It's not quite zero waist, but it's very low waist because it's essentially just rectangles. I got a dress that I really like the fit of, and I just measured the back as a rectangle, and I cut 2 of those out, one for the back, one for the front, and I cut the front in half down the middle, and then kind of snipped a bit out for the back neck and a bit out for the front neck, and I made 2 rectangles for the sleeves, just sewed it all together, cuffed the sleeve. Don't know if you can see, it's got like little gathered cuffs, and then made a skirt, gathered that, sewed it all together. Easy peasy. I was really pleased with how it's turned out. I really like it. So then I moved on to the vest, like the knitted vest, and I decided to make the Vivica vest pattern. It's a vest or a cardigan pattern, and it's by the Westran sisters, and this is it. Hopefully you can see, it's so lovely. it's knitted in this really, really beautiful fabric. The main wool is a hedgehog fibres fabric called Tweedy. And I don't know, I can just show it. Can you see all those little coloured neps? It's really cool. So the fabric is, the wool is made, those neps are like all the saved ties from when they've dyed different bits of wool, and when they've got enough of them, they spin it into a yarn as the neps, as the tweedy bits in the yarn, which I just think is so cool. I couldn't quite get gauge with that alone, so I held it with a strand of silk mohair. It was Silk Haze, I think it's called, by Rowan. I just happened to have it, so that's what I used. And yeah, I'm really pleased with the fabric. I'm really pleased with how the pattern has turned out. However, whilst I love the dress and the vest individually, as a together outfit, it's a bit of a fail because I made the sleeves really deep and puffy. This is like a whole foot, it's 12 inches from here to here, and the gap from here to here is much smaller, so you kind of get this kind of all bunched up, not attractive look to it. So that hasn't quite worked, but I do really like both of them. I wear them both. I will probably come autumn knit something else that will, like a different type of slip over that will go over the top to go with this. And I've already got a dress that this will go over, and I'm actually, when I come on to whips, I've got another dress in the making which kind of picks up this kind of bluey bit here. So yeah, I'm really pleased with both of those things, but kind of just not together. The interesting thing about that vest is I really, really loved that wool, but it is undeniably a pale grey background colour. I never ever wear grey. I don't, not in any tone, you know, light grey, dark grey. I just don't really like it. I tend to wear much warmer colours. I really like brown, is my favourite colour. I love brown. I like goldeny colours, like autumn colours basically, or earthy colours are my favourite colours. And yet so far I've made this dress, which is a really cool white with a blue. I've made that vest, which is quite a cool grey, and I know it's got all the neps that like brighten it up, but and then my next finished make was a Tolster tee. That pattern is by Rebecca at the Crayobear, and it's a really popular pattern. I know you'll have heard of it, and it's a great pattern. It deserves to be popular. I really enjoyed knitting it, and in fact I've got a second one on my needles now. But that was knitted in a pale grey fabric too. It was a sport weight undyed linen by a company called Eco Stitch, which I'd not heard of, but I got from Etsy, and it was just beautiful when it came. I thought in the picture it looked a bit more kind of beigey, but when it came it was silver, like it shone. It was beautiful. There's a picture on my Instagram and it just shows it's metallic almost. Again, I couldn't get gauge with that. It needed to be a sort of double knit for that pattern, so I added in a strand of silk mohair. This time it was from a company called Onion, and they have like a higher silk content than some of the silk mohairs, and it's really, really shiny. So the two together, like my eldest son said, oh, it's like chainmail, like but it's kind of beautiful and fluffy and warm and gorgeous. So I'm really pleased with it. But again, it's a pale grey fabric, so I don't really know what's happened to me. It's not my normal colours, and we'll see how I get on, whether I wear them lots. I hope I do. So yeah, I'll show a picture of, I'll probably have put a picture of that t-shirt in so you can see it. So there's sort of my 3 finished objects so far. As I said, I'm just going to drink. I have another Tolster tee on my needles here, all scrumpled up because the needles are too small. It's in, let me just show it, you can see, it's a bit blown out. It's Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the colour olive. Is it dusty olive? Olive. It's a really beautiful, like green, sort of khaki green colour. It's 2 strands together to make up the way, and I'm more or less on gauge. I think I'm about half a stitch out. The grey t-shirt with the linen and the silk mohair, I was like wildly off gauge. So I actually knitted a size 3, and it's come out not tight but a nice fit. This, my gauge is much better. I'm knitting a size 2, but I'm hoping for a sort of the same sort of fit. And I do swatch, like recently on my Instagram I put some swatches for a work in progress that I've got, and I had lots of comments saying, wow, you're so good, you swatch all the time and you're really organised. I never used to. Like I have definitely been guilty of not swatching, but then I've had lots of projects that have turned out badly, like they're too big or they're too small, and they're just like the fabric's not nice. And really I've learned the hard way that swatching is good, people. So yes, I did swatch, but even still sometimes it's a little bit of a gamble how it's going to turn out, because my garment gauge is often wildly different from my swatch gauge anyway, but I try my best. So yeah, I said I feel like I'm really rushing through this, but I hope it's okay. Be kind, it's the first time I've ever done it, so okay. So this is my next working project. I said that I was making another dress that I thought would look nice underneath that Vivica vest pattern. It's just a really nice, I know I said like that I wear loads of browns and earthy colours and everything, but I do also wear quite a lot of blue, particularly in the spring and the summer. Like, it's just my summer colour. So this is a really nice, just like, it's very, very soft, slubby cotton. I think I got it from Merchant and Mills. It's a really beautiful sort of mid blue, like blue sky blue. And I'm just, it's kind of, it's not totally made up. It's the all, well, box top pattern and the gathered dress hack, but then I fiddled with it a bit more. So I've just, again, I cut the front in half and I've added a button placket. I did this yesterday and I realised that the button placket is not quite wide enough, so I've got some very dodgy buttonholes happening here, but I think it's fine. It's not right. I'm not making it for anybody else, it's just for myself. So, and then the sleeves, there was a tapered sleeve on the dress, but I made them so they were straight and then added a cuff, so you get that nice kind of puffy sleeve. It's a full length sleeve and it's slimmer, so my Vivica cardigan will go over it. It's really nice and light, so it'll do like all year. I think in the colder weather I can put a long sleeve top underneath it, a jumper or a long sleeve cardigan, and then like the vest will see me in those transitional periods, and then in the summer I can just wear it by itself. It'll just have a gathered skirt. So yeah, very pleased about that. My last work in progress, I say my last work in progress, I have got loads of works in progress, which I'm sure you'll know what I mean when I say I have active works in progress and I have resting works in progress. Loads of you will be the same. So I've got one of my long time resting, very, very sleepy works in progress I've pulled back out, and I'm gonna sort now that spring is coming. It is a quilt that I made last spring. I called it the Blossom Quilt, and it's just, I just made up the pattern. It's just 9 patches basically, so blocks made up of 9 squares put together to make a sort of flower pattern. And I did it to use up all of my naturally dyed pink scraps. I seem to have loads and loads of different pinks. They come from all sorts of, I mean, some of them I don't even know what they're from because I didn't have my scraps labelled. I'm rubbish at labelling things, to be honest, but I'm trying hard, but not my scraps. So I know that there's some fabric dyed with avocado in there, dyed with bay leaves. We've got a bay tree from madder, and different baths will give you different strengths. There's conifer in there. I can't remember anything else off the top of my head, but there's loads of different things. And there's also in the centre of each flower there sort of a more orangey peachy colour. Again, they come from conifer, they come from onion skins. I think there's some hawthorn in there. heather, makes a really nice peachy colour. So yep, I just needed to use some up, and at the time that I was doing it, the trees were full of blossom and the blossom was falling, and that's kind of like the vibe I went for in this. So since the picture that I've shown has been taken, I've just put a white border around the edge, and then I did nothing else. So I need to make up a backing, I need to layer it up, and then I need to make a binding. I think I'm going to go for a stripy binding all the way around. And yeah, and then I think I'm going to tie it rather than quilt it. I think I'm going to tie in the centre of each of the flowers, so it's like the stameny bits. That's my plan. But again, I need to dye the thread that I'm going to do that with. I'll probably dye that in an onion skin bath to get a nice yellowy orange, golden orange, and but that's something that I'm saying I'm going to do it, so I'm going to have to do it now so I can show it hopefully on a following episode. What else have I been doing? Oh, kind of, this counts as a sort of finished object and a sort of future plan. This is some wool that I've dyed. It is not going to show up. I know, I'll try and maybe take a picture. It was wool that I got from a mill called Blackstone's, which is not far from where we live in Yorkshire, and they spin lots of British wool. They supply lots of hand dyers. They spin a lot of wool for dyeing, so undyed wool. And I bought 5 skeins of their BFL Masham, and they call it a marble base, so you can see the 2 colours are it looks like it's marled, you know, the 2 plies are different colours, and so you get this sort of marled heathered effect. Now when I saw it on the website, and you can see in the picture here, it looks kind of quite warm, it looks quite beigey, almost pinky toned, but then when it arrived, it looked much more grey. I didn't take a picture of it before I dyed it, so I can't show you that, but it was much more grey. And as I've said, despite everything I've shown, I'm not really into pale grey, so I wasn't that pleased with it, but I knew I was going to dye it anyway. But I kind of wanted it to be that sort of pinky beige colour that I'd had in my head, so you're going to have to take my word for it, because it's not showing up. Maybe if I twist it a bit, it's not, I don't know, can you see that? Not really. I'd had it in, it's dyed in birch bark. We had a wood order in November for the wood burning stoves, and loads of it was birch, and it had all the bark still on, but you kind of just tapped it and the bark fell off. So my lovely husband and 2 of my boys just spent like an afternoon banging all the logs and getting all the birch bark off, and I have this massive bag now of birch bark. So I soaked it and then I boiled it, and I spent like a week making this dye bath, and it was this really, really beautiful dark pink colour. But birch bark always comes out quite pale, like on fabric, on wool, on whatever. It's quite a soft, gentle dye. So I've actually dipped this wool in twice, and I'll try and get a picture of it up against like a white background so you can see it in full natural light. But the overall effect is definitely like a warmer beige. It's not the sort of grey colour that it looked. And then there are just areas, you can't see, I don't know why I'm doing it, you can't see, there are areas where there is definitely like pinky tones. It just looks really beautiful now. It's exactly how I wanted it to look, and I'm really pleased with it. You can see it is a DK yarn. I mean, it's bloomed. When you naturally dye something, it's in and out of the water all the time, so when you knit with it and wash it at the end and block it, it won't bloom anymore, because it's already done all of that through the process of being scoured and mordanted and dyed. But it's so soft and it's so squishy, and I think it'll probably knit up more like a worsted or an Aran weight, or like it's a really heavy DK. So I just want to knit with it now, but we're coming into spring and then summer, and like, is it a sensible time for me to start knitting with a really woolly wool? But I kind of can't resist. But I don't know. I've got 500 grams of it, and I should have the information to tell you what that is in meterage, but I don't know. I'll tell you another time, hopefully. And yeah, I just really want to use all of it in one project, and I want it to be something like not too fussy, where like the different tones in the wool will show up. And yeah, I'm gonna have a hunt, and I might end up doing it in spring, even though it's a really kind of wintry. It's lovely, smells like sheep and wood. Nice. So yeah, so that's a kind of future plan, and then I've got two other future plans that I want to talk about. One is a knitting plan, and it is a sort of it is a summer garment in that you probably wouldn't get a huge amount of wear of it in the winter, but it's going to be out of wool. And it's the Helix top by Jessie May Designs, which is an all over lace pullover, but it's not like flowery pretty granny lace. It's just like a ladder, like an open work sort of ladder lace all over. And when I was like poking about on Ravelry and this came up, and I just loved it because it reminded me of a top that I had like when I was my daughter's age, so like early teen, she's 14, so yeah, around about 13, 14, 15, I had this kind of long sleeve, fairly long ladderwork lace black sweater, and I used to wear it over everything, over dresses and over long sleeve t-shirts and over vests, and I wore it all the time, and I loved it. And I was telling my daughter about it, and I was showing it to her, and I said, I've got to knit another one, and she laughed at me and said, yeah, but you won't be knitting it in black, will you? You'll be knitting it in a sort of browny, orangey, yellow coloured wool. And do you know what? She was bang on, because this is the wool that I'm gonna use. It's from Walcott Yarns. It's called Opus. It is absolutely beautiful. It's merino alpaca. It's 350 meters to 100 grams. They call it a sport weight. It's quite thin for a sport weight, but it's really plump, and it really blooms nicely when it's blocked. And the colour is goldenrod, and it is this like mustardy, goldeny, like, it's just gorgeous. And actually, I got this off my husband as a present, not for my last birthday in December just gone, but the one before. And last summer I did start knitting a top. I was knitting the Bay top by Jacqueline Sislak, I think. And it was really nice. I loved it, and it was good in that it taught me quite a new things. I had to learn how to do a provisional cast on, and then you kind of knit the front portion, like the top of the front and the top of the back, and then you seam them along the shoulders with a flat 3-needle bind off, which was a new thing for me to learn. And it was okay, I did it, but it was quite fiddly, and you had to sort of resolve the German short rows as you went along. So it was one of those things that I had to do in a room by myself with no noise on, like, and just concentrate. But I did it, and I was really pleased, and I held it up and I thought, oh, that looks really nice. And then I turned it round and I twisted the back piece, and it was just like, oh. The only thing I could do to fix it was unpick all of that on one of the shoulders, turn it round and do it again. And I couldn't face it. I was thinking, I'm going to drop stitches all over the place, and I'm going to mess up where those German short rows was, and it just got shoved in a basket in a corner and left. And I thought I'd go back to it, but I haven't. So I've decided I'm just going to frog it. I'm just going to use it for something else. So I'm going to use it for this Helix top, mainly because I made another dress this year. I made from the Birgitta Helmersson zero waist pattern. I made a dress, like a slip dress. I'll put a picture up, and it's in this really lovely cotton poplin that's got a sort of mustardy yellow and a sort of rusty orange colouring. And I think that this will go really nicely over the top, because I mean, I live in West Yorkshire. We get some hot days, but not loads. I made the dress because we booked a foreign holiday to France as a family. We don't go on a lot of foreign holidays. My husband and I went to Barcelona for a week last year, and that was the first time we'd been out of the country in 10 years. And that was, the older two were 3 and 5 months, 3 years and 5 months when we went, and the younger two, I have 4 children, the younger two have never been abroad, so we decided we'd go on a family holiday this summer. We're going to France. We booked it in January, and so it's like now I'm just making lots of summer things because I'm excited about it. So I made this dress, but we're in northern France, so we can't be guaranteed lots of great weather, and also like I want to be able to wear the dress more than maybe 2 weeks every year when it's warm enough. So a sort of nice lacework but wool jumper over the top, I kind of feel that that's a good thing. So I've been swatching. The pattern is for 4mm. Is that the right one? No, it's for this. This is the 4mm, and that is a really nice fabric. I'm really pleased with it, but you should be ironing it. I'm a bit lazy. I only knit half a swatch, so it's meant to be, 4 inches. I knitted half the number of rows it told me, and it came out about 1 3/4 inches, so not row gauge, but also the stitch gauge. It's meant to stretch, like that is just under 4 inches across, but it's meant to stretch to 6, and there's no way. So then I went up to 4.5 mils, 4.5 mils, and that has given me the row gauge, but it doesn't quite stretch. It kind of gets to about 5 inches. So then I went up to 5 mils, and it's kind of just over the 2 inches, and it stretches really easily, but I don't like it. I don't like the fabric. I think the holes are too big. This central spine looks a bit messy. This bit looks a bit too open, so I don't think you get like enough definition between the two. So I like this one best. This is my favourite swatch, but like it's too way off gauge. So I've decided I'm going to go for the middle one, like the compromise one, and hopefully I'm going to cast that on soon. So that's that. And then my last future plan is nothing to do with knitting or sewing or natural dyeing. It's a whole new hobby, because I don't have enough, and that is I've booked on to a 10-week course for wheel thrown pottery. I have something, my aunt does, it's been a potter, and I don't think she does it so much anymore, but she has a wheel, and she's done courses, and I've always kind of really wanted to have a go. And I watched that programme on Channel 4. I don't know if they show it in other countries. In the UK it's called the Great Pottery Throwdown, and I really love it. I really wanted to have a go. So last month I did like a half-day session, and I just loved it. And so I've managed to sign up to a 10-week course, and it's starting at the end of April, so I've got a bit of a wait, but it's like an evening a week. And yeah, I just see how it goes, just scratching an itch, and maybe I'll show you at some point if anything nice turns out. Probably won't, but we'll give it a go. So yeah, I feel like I've raced through that. That is like half an hour of me talking very fast. I apologise. I hope it's okay. Let me know if it is or it isn't, although it'd be nice. It's the first time I've ever done it. I'm a bit nervous, and hopefully you have enjoyed it, and if I get a second one up, you'll come back and chat with me again. Okay, so wherever you are, hope you have a lovely day, and thanks for watching. Bye.